So we're slowly but surely getting to the end of Amphoreus' story. We have literally 2 more patches before the story of Amphoreus ends. Then apparently we have the finale Penacony. After that, we then need to look at what new world we could end up visiting for the following version, version 4. And we've had multiple destinations brought to our attention before. Within version 2.2 in Enna's dream, 4 locations were mentioned. The oceanic planet Lusaka, the agate world Melastanin, the Edo star, and the glass belt Petravia. Because it all took place in Enna's dream though, I was hesitant to believe that these were real options, because there was no guarantee the information was genuine, or that these were the real thoughts of the Express on where we would next go. That was dismissed, however, when in 2.3 2 of the options come back up, meaning that all the information potentially around each of the planets is genuine and applies to the real universe. And in the case of the vote, because you have your character pick, Welt and Himiko will follow your choice, unless you say that you don't know which one you want to pick. While March will always insist, unless you pick Edo Star, for us to visit there because of the urgency of its situation, which involves the Antimatter Legion and their distress calls as a result of the Antimatter Legion trying to attack them ceasing abruptly and the IPC being concerned. Danheng will follow March's suggestion or your suggestion if you pick Edo Star. In every other given option, both of those two always select and vote Edo Star. Meanwhile, Welt and Himiko will follow your vote, unless you say you don't know. But due to the circumstances change in 2.3, because the Astral Express was running out of fuel, only 2 of the options were mentioned, which was the oceanic planet Lusaka and the agate world Melastanin. The other 2 options were missing because of the urgency of the Express's situation, not because they were optimal trailblazing locations. It was purely for the fuel crisis, which Black Swan then offered an alternative that would resolve the fuel issue entirely. So I believe if the fuel crisis hadn't have happened, we probably would have ended up visiting Edo Star, which means to me, it is the most logical decision for the next trailblazing expedition after Amphoreus is over and there will never be a fuel issue again. The Edo Star situation seemed quite urgent. Multiple members of the Express are concerned about it. So is the IPC, which is a faction we have had interactions with already. We know very little about this world, while Lusaka we know quite a lot about, due to the fact it has a planar ornament set on top of the information we're giving when considering it as an option. And the reason the Express debated on visiting there was because it was the home of Mikhail. While Melastanin, suggested by Welt, is a location that is tied to the beauty and shows the direct impact of a Stellaron. Petravia would put us in contact with the Morning Actors troupe and shows the direct consequences of a Lord Ravager. Each of those options don't have ongoing situations that spell concern, that need addressing, while Edo Star does, with the Antimatter Legion actively invading. It feels like a no-brainer. It was a no-brainer even for March on which option to suggest and go behind if we did not agree with her. And yes, we can outvote her because we're the main character and the point of that choice was to give us an illusion of choice while we were in the dream, but I do believe that logically, the Trailblazer would probably side with what's most urgent, just like Welt and Himiko would. No way Welt and Himiko would be that careless and ignore the plight of a planet. We got involved in everyone else's business, why won't we get involved in the business of Edo Star if it's actively in danger? It seems to completely contradict the aims of the Express if the Express were to ignore Edo Star's potential plight. So, what would I expect from this? I don't know. Edo comes from Japan. It's the term of what they used to call Tokyo, and it's the name of one of their historical periods. There is no guarantee, though, that there is an actual link there. This is just my assumption based on real-life history, and that means nothing in a fictional world. It could mean something, if they do want to connect it to how reality works, but it doesn't mean they have to. So my assumption so far is it's just a Japanese-based world. That doesn't tell us a whole lot, though, on potential its involvement with factions, or what's even going on in the world, and why the Antimatter Legion chose to invade. But it did make me look into all of the worlds we know about so far in Honkai Star Rail for the ones that are themed around Japan, and there are 2 of them. The first being Izumo, which we know cannot be connected to this world, it is named. The other appeared inside of the Myriad Celestia trailer tied to Sparkle and was unnamed. It showcased Japanese scenery and an almost tech-related vibe, cyberpunk-esque, which could associate it with the Masked Fools considering Sparkle was there. Could this be Edo Star or some other unknown world? If it is Edo Star, we actually know more about it than we would initially assume based on the conversation between the Express crew. This is just me spitballing my thoughts, because eventually we are going to discover what the next world could be. And this was an interesting conversation to have, because we've already technically discussed this with the crew before. It's just, a change in circumstances impacted what we could actually do in that situation and made Amphoreus the next trailblazing expedition. Let me know what you think in the comments. Do you think Edo Star could be the next destination, or is it one of the other options? Or could it be a totally different world? Because this entire video falls apart if they just pick a different world that they didn't list before. Which they totally could, let's be real for a second. Either way, hopefully you guys had fun watching. Have a good night, morning, day, whatever time it is, wherever you guys are, and have fun. Don't bother chanting along with March that the next trailblazing expedition would be uneventful, because I don't see it happening. Poor girl, but we need some excitement in this game. Bye guys.